There is a quiet agricultural revolution happening beneath the feet of people who have no idea it exists. In the margins of abandoned fields, in the root systems of plants that industrial farming declared worthless, in seeds that corporations spent decades trying to make you forget. American topsoil is dying. The USDA confirmed it. The United States has lost roughly half of its topsoil in the last 150 years. At current degradation rates, scientists at the University of Sheffield calculated in 2014 that humanity has approximately 60 harvests left before productive farmland becomes dust. The chemical agriculture industry, a $100 billion annual enterprise, built its entire model on the assumption that soil is not a living system. It is a substrate, a medium for delivering their products. And in doing so, it created a crisis that its own products cannot solve. But here is where the story fractures. Because the crops that can reverse this, that can rebuild topsoil, fix atmospheric nitrogen, break hardpan, sequester carbon, restore microbial communities, and feed human beings with extraordinary nutritional density, already exist. Most of them grew here before Europeans arrived. Some of them are crawling back on their own, uninvited, through cracks in the pavement of a civilization that tried to pave them over. This is their story. In 2019, researchers at the Land Institute in Salina, Kansas, published what conventional agriculture had called impossible: a perennial grain crop with a root system reaching 10 feet into the soil. Wheat's roots extend 2 feet. Kerns's roots don't just feed the plant, they build the soil around them, sequestering up to 50% more carbon than annual grain systems. They hold soil against erosion. They feed mycorrhizal networks. They do not require replanting, so the soil surface is never torn open, never left naked and bleeding to the wind. The grain itself contains protein levels comparable to wheat, with a nutty, slightly sweet flavor, that craft brewers and flour millers have already begun working with. General Mills began partnering with Kernza farmers in 2019. They called it a breakthrough. What they did not say is that perennial grain cultivation is not new, it is a return. Indigenous prairie agriculture managed perennial food systems for centuries before the steel plow arrived and ripped them out. In 1605, when French explorer Samuel de Champlain arrived on the New England coast, the Wampanoag people fed him a starchy, protein-dense root that historians believe sustained the first European settlers through their initial winters. Not corn, not wheat. The American groundnut, a nitrogen-fixing perennial vine that produces edible tubers containing 17% protein by dry weight, 3 times the protein of potato, while simultaneously pulling nitrogen from the atmosphere and depositing it in the soil around it. It improves its own growing conditions with every season. It was displaced not because it failed, but because it could not be standardized. Its tubers are irregular. A machine cannot harvest them uniformly. By the mid-1800s, industrial agriculture's standardization requirements had rendered it commercially invisible. Today, a single pharmaceutical-grade protein isolate product containing comparable amino acid profiles retails for $40 to $60 per pound. The ground nut grows wild along American riverbanks, producing the same nutrition for free. The Jerusalem artichoke, which has nothing to do with Jerusalem and is not an artichoke, is a sunflower relative that has been feeding North American civilizations for at least 4,000 years. It produces up to 7 tons of edible tubers per acre with virtually no inputs, no fertilizer, no irrigation in most climates, no pesticide. Its primary carbohydrate is inulin, not a sugar, but a prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria and causes virtually no blood glucose spike. A 2017 study in the Journal of Functional Foods found that inulin supplementation at 10 grams per day significantly altered gut microbiome composition within 4 weeks, increasing populations of bifidobacterium by over 40%. The pharmaceutical prebiotic supplement market is now worth $9.4 billion globally. The sunchoke delivers the same compound from soil to table. It also breaks hardpan soil. Its aggressive root structure fractures compacted earth, allowing air and water to penetrate layers that chemical fertilizer cannot reach. When Hernan Cortés arrived in the Aztec Empire in 1519, he found amaranth at the center of both the agricultural economy and the spiritual calendar. Aztec farmers harvested 20,000 tons annually. The grain contained 13 to 14% protein, with a complete amino acid profile including lysine, which wheat and corn lack almost entirely. Cortés banned it. Cultivation became punishable by the removal of hands. The Spanish understood that a civilization with a self-sufficient, high-protein perennial grain required nothing from colonial supply chains. The suppression was not metaphorical. It was enforced with mutilation. 500 years later, the global lysine supplement market, selling what amaranth delivers naturally, is valued at $1.6 billion. Amaranth grows as a weed in American fields today. Herbicide-resistant, indestructible. It refuses to stay buried. Annual flax is grown commercially for its omega-3 content. Farmers plant it, harvest it, tear the soil, plant again. Perennial flax provides the same seed yield without the cycle of destruction, with root systems that stabilize soil, suppress erosion, and reduce input requirements by approximately 60% compared to annual systems, according to a 2015 analysis published by the Rodale Institute. A half-pound of commercial omega-3 supplements derived from conventional flax oil retails for $18 to $35. The plant that produced the precursor compounds grew for free and rebuilt the ground beneath it. The industry's interest in annual cultivation is not nutritional. Annual crops require annual seed purchases. Perennial crops, once established, are sovereign. The fava bean fixes between 100 and 200 kilograms of atmospheric nitrogen per hectare per year, nitrogen that then feeds subsequent crops without a single bag of synthetic fertilizer. It has been doing this in Mediterranean and Middle Eastern agriculture for 6,000 years. It largely disappeared from American farming in the mid-20th century, replaced by synthetic nitrogen fertilizer, a product whose global market reached $62 billion in 2022. The math is straightforward. A crop that produces its own nitrogen is a direct competitor to an industry that sells nitrogen. The fava bean did not fail American soil. American soil policy failed the fava bean. Before canola was engineered in Canadian laboratories in the 1970s and became the dominant American oilseed crop, farmers in Central Asia and Eastern Europe grew camelina, an ancient oilseed containing 35 to 40% oil by weight, with an omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, considered ideal for human cardiovascular health by nutritional biochemists. It thrives in poor, dry soil where canola fails. It requires minimal water. Its cultivation period is short. A 2012 study at Montana State University found camelina yielded competitively in semi-arid conditions, where canola production was economically unviable. Canola's current dominance is not nutritional superiority, it is infrastructure. Canola has extraction facilities. Canola has commodity markets. Camelina has history. Native to the North American prairie, Canada wild rye was a keystone grass of the original grassland ecosystem that built the deep black topsoil of the Midwest, a topsoil layer that took 10,000 years to develop, and that industrial row cropping has been destroying at a rate of roughly 1 inch per generation. Wild rye establishes quickly, outcompetes invasive species without herbicide, and its deep fibrous root system generates organic matter that feeds soil microbial life. In prairie, restoration projects across Iowa, Kansas, and Nebraska, wild rye plots have demonstrated measurable increases in soil organic carbon within 5 years. 5 years. The synthetic soil amendment market sells products promising similar outcomes for $3 billion annually. The grass does it for the cost of the seed. 9. Moringa. Moringa oleifera. Moringa is not American in origin, but it is naturalized in the American South and Southwest, and what it does to degraded land is extraordinary. Its roots produce a natural compound called pteridospermin, a glucosinolate with demonstrated antimicrobial properties. But more relevant to soil, moringa's leaves, when used as green manure, have been shown in a 2011 study from the University of Hohenheim to increase crop yields in degraded tropical soil by 20 to 35% within a single growing season. Its leaves contain 7 times the vitamin C of oranges, 4 times the calcium of milk, 2 times the protein of yogurt. The supplement industry has monetized moringa powder into a $7 billion global market. The tree, in warm American climates, grows like a weed and produces year-round. There is a plant being killed in American driveways right now that contains more omega-3 fatty acids per 100 grams than any other leafy green on Earth. Purslane. It is the plant the herbicide industry most desperately needs you to hate. Scott's Miracle-Gro markets specific herbicide products targeting it. The industry that spends $40 billion annually on herbicide development has created television commercials, store displays, and lawn care guides dedicated to its eradication. Purslane is also a soil healer. Its succulent structure retains moisture in cracked, dry soil, feeding microbial life during drought. It grows in the most degraded urban soil on the continent. It does not need help, it needs to be left alone. In France, it is sold in grocery stores. In Greece, it has been consumed as food and medicine for 2,000 years. In America, it is a weed. The framing is not accidental. The pattern repeats. Always the same structure. A crop that heals soil, feeds people, resists disease, and requires no purchased input. An industry that profits from the alternative. A regulatory or market system that removes the crop from visibility without ever needing to prove the crop fails. Amaranth banned by empire. Groundnut displaced by standardization. Kernza ignored for a century. Purslane poisoned in driveways. What was never broken was the soil's willingness to heal itself, if given the right seeds. The knowledge was not lost, it was misplaced with intent. But seeds are patient. Roots are patient. And the hands that remember how to use them are returning. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell. Every like and every share preserves what they try to erase. The next vault opens soon.